Welcome back to Rare Coin HQ. Today we're diving into two of America's most iconic coins, the rare Washington quarters and valuable Lincoln wheat pennies. What looks like ordinary pocket change could actually be hiding thousands of dollars in value, and many collectors are still hunting for these treasures. From tiny details in the mint marks to subtle design variations, the difference between a common coin and a rare find can be massive. Stay with us until the end because the final coin might surprise you the most, and it could already be sitting in your collection without you even knowing it. First up, we take a closer look at a coin that many people have handled without ever realizing its hidden story, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar with AP mint mark, found today in circulated condition. At first glance, this coin may seem completely ordinary. It might look dull, slightly dirty, and worn down from years of use. The details on George Washington's face may appear soft, and the once sharp design now looks faded. But as simple as it looks, this coin comes from an interesting time in U.S. coin history, and for collectors, even small details can make a big difference. The year 1982 was a unique period for the United States Mint. During this time, the Mint made an unusual decision. For the first time in many years, official mint sets were not produced. This means fewer coins from 1982 were carefully saved in perfect condition compared to other years. As a result, finding high-quality examples today is much harder than people expect. Most of the 1982 quarters, including this one, were released directly into circulation and used heavily in everyday transactions. This particular coin carries the P Mint mark, which stands for the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike older coins where Philadelphia coins had no mint mark, by 1982 the P was added to show where the coin was made. This small letter is very important because it helps collectors identify the origin of the coin. While the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of quarters that year, not all of them were struck perfectly, and some developed small but interesting errors. Looking at the front of the coin, you will see the well-known portrait of George Washington facing left. This design has been used on quarters since 1932 and remains one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. On this circulated example, Washington's hair details are worn down, and his cheekbone appears flat. The words Liberty at the top and In God We Trust to the side are still visible, but they may not be as sharp as they once were. The date 1982 is clear, along with the small P mint mark. On the reverse side, the coin features the eagle design. The eagle stands with its wings spread, holding arrows and olive branches, symbolizing strength and peace. Around it are the words United States of America and quarter dollar. In a circulated coin like this, the fine feather details on the eagle are often worn smooth, and the overall design may look flat. Even so, the main features are still easy to recognize. Now let's talk about the condition because this coin clearly shows signs of long use. Being in circulated condition means it has spent years moving through everyday transactions. This results in wear across the entire surface. The high points of the design, like Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, are the first to lose detail. You may also notice small scratches, nicks, and dents. These marks happen when coins come into contact with each other in pockets, cash registers, and coin machines. There is also some dirt and toning visible on the surface. Over time, coins naturally develop color changes due to exposure to air, moisture, and handling. This can give the coin a slightly darker or uneven appearance. In most cases, this is completely normal and does not mean the coin is damaged. In fact, natural toning can show that the coin has not been cleaned, which is important for collectors. One interesting point mentioned about this coin is the possibility of a filled mint mark error. This happens when dirt or grease fills part of the mint mark during the striking process, making the letter appear faint or partially missing. While this type of error is usually minor, it still attracts attention from collectors because it shows how small imperfections at the mint can create unique variations. Even though this is a 1982 P quarter, it is worth noting that some people confuse it with the 1982 D version, which also has its own known issues. That is why checking the mint mark carefully is very important. The difference between AP and AD may seem small, but it can completely change how the coin is identified. Now here is where things get more exciting. While most 1982 quarters in circulated condition are common, certain factors can increase their value. Coins that are in much better condition, especially those that were never heavily used, are harder to find because of the lack of mint sets that year. This alone makes high-grade coins from 1982 more desirable. In addition, coins with noticeable errors or unusual features can become much more valuable. Off-center strikes, double dies, or strong filled mint marks can turn a simple quarter into something collectors actively search for. Even though these errors are rare, they do exist, and some have been discovered in everyday circulation. When it comes to value, a standard 1982p quarter in circulated condition is usually worth its face value. However, coins with rare errors or in exceptional condition have reached surprising prices in the collector market. Some high-grade or error examples have been known to sell in the range of $80,000 to $125,000 depending on their uniqueness and preservation. This shows why collectors never ignore coins, even if they look worn or ordinary. The real value often lies in the small details that are easy to miss. If you ever come across a 1982 quarter like this, it is worth taking a closer look. Check the mint mark carefully, examine the lettering, and look for anything unusual. Even a small difference could make the coin more interesting. Using a magnifying glass can help you see details that are not visible at first glance. It is also important to store the coin properly. Keeping it in a safe place can prevent further damage. Avoid cleaning it, as cleaning can remove natural toning and lower its value. Even a worn coin should be preserved in its original condition. What makes the 1982 Washington quarter special is not just its design, but its place in history. It comes from a year when fewer high-quality coins were saved, making it harder to find nice examples today. It also reminds us that even modern coins can carry hidden stories and potential value. In the end, this coin teaches an important lesson. Not every valuable coin looks shiny or new. Some are worn, scratched, and overlooked. But with the right knowledge and a careful eye, even a simple quarter can turn out to be something worth far more than expected. Next up, we take a closer look at a coin that many people would ignore without a second thought, the 1991 Washington quarter with a D mint mark, found today in heavily circulated condition. At first glance, this coin does not look special at all. It appears dirty, dull, and worn out from years of use. There is visible grime across the surface, and the shine it once had is completely gone. Small scratches and marks cover both sides, and the details look soft and faded. But coins like this often carry stories that go far beyond their appearance, and sometimes even a worn quarter can surprise you. This coin was made in 1991 at the Denver Mint, which is why it has the small D mint mark. That tiny letter under the date is very important. It tells collectors where the coin was made, and sometimes coins from certain mints have slight differences in quality or errors. The Denver Mint produced millions of quarters in 1991, sending them out into everyday circulation. These coins were used in stores, vending machines, and daily transactions, which is why most of them, like this one, show heavy wear today. The design of this coin is one of the most familiar in American history. On the front, you see George Washington facing left. This design has been used since 1932 and has remained mostly the same for decades. Even though this coin is worn, you can still see Washington's profile. However, the fine details like the texture of his hair and the sharpness of his face have been flattened over time. The word Liberty at the top is still readable, and In God We Trust appears near his neck, though both may look weak and faded. The date 1991 is visible, along with the D mint mark. On the back of the coin, there is a strong image of an eagle with its wings spread wide. The eagle is holding arrows and olive branches, showing both strength and peace. Around it are the words United States of America and quarter dollar. In this circulated condition, the eagle's feathers are no longer sharp, and many of the fine lines have worn down. Still, the overall design is easy to recognize, which is important for collectors. Now let's talk about the condition of this coin, because that is a big part of its story. This quarter has clearly been used for many years. The surface is covered with dirt and dark residue, which has built up over time. This happens when coins are handled by many people and exposed to different environments. The grime can make the coin look darker and less attractive, but it also shows that the coin has not been cleaned, which is actually a good sign for collectors. There are also many small scratches and marks across the surface. These come from contact with other coins and objects while being carried in pockets or stored in cash registers. The lack of original luster means the coin has lost its shiny, fresh from the mint appearance. This is normal for coins that have been in circulation for a long time. The high points of the design, like Washington's cheek and the eagle's wings, are worn smooth, which is another clear sign of heavy use. Even though the coin looks worn, it should never be ignored. In coin collecting, condition is important, but it is not the only thing that matters. What really makes a coin valuable is rarity, and sometimes, that rarity comes from small mistakes made during the minting process. The 1991 D Washington quarter is known to have some interesting error possibilities. One of these is the doubled die error, where parts of the design appear doubled due to a mistake during the striking process. This can sometimes be seen in the lettering or the date. Another possibility is an off-center strike, where the coin was not properly aligned when it was made, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. There are also cases of die cracks, where small lines appear on the coin because the metal die used to strike it developed cracks over time. These cracks transfer onto the coin during minting, creating raised lines that collectors can spot. Filled mint marks are another small but interesting error, where the D-mint mark may look partially blocked or unclear due to debris during the striking process. These kinds of errors are not always easy to see, especially on a worn coin like this. But they are still there, hidden beneath the surface. That is why collectors take their time and examine each coin carefully, often using magnifying tools to look for tiny details. What makes this even more exciting is that many valuable error coins have been found in circulated condition. Years of use do not remove these errors. They only make them harder to notice. This means that even a dirty, worn coin like this could still hold something special. Now let's talk about value, because this is where things get interesting. A normal 1991 D quarter in this condition is usually worth its face value. However, coins with strong errors or unusual features can be worth much more. In fact, certain rare error examples and high-grade versions of this coin have been known to reach values between $78,000 and $127,000 in the collector market. That kind of price may sound unbelievable for a coin that looks like this, but it shows how important rarity and unique features are in coin collecting. It is not about how shiny the coin is, but about what makes it different from the rest. If you ever come across a 1991 D Washington quarter, it is worth taking a closer look. Check the mint mark, study the lettering, and look for anything unusual. Even a small detail could make a big difference. A simple magnifying glass can help you see things that are easy to miss with the naked eye. It is also important to handle the coin carefully. Try not to touch the surface too much and never clean it. Cleaning can remove natural toning and damage the coin, which lowers its value. Even a dirty coin should be kept in its original state. What makes this coin special is not just its design or its age, but its journey. This quarter has likely been used by thousands of people, passed from hand to hand, and traveled through many places over the years. It has been part of everyday life, quietly moving through time without anyone realizing its potential. In the end, this coin reminds us of something very important. Not all valuable things look valuable at first. Some are hidden behind dirt, wear, and time. But with a little knowledge and a careful eye, even a simple quarter can reveal a story that is worth far more than its face value. Next up, the 1995 Washington quarter with a P mint mark is a coin that feels like it has been through a long and busy life. It may not look special at first, but when you slow down and really study it, you begin to see a story of everyday use, movement, and time passing quietly from one hand to another. This quarter was made in 1995 at the Philadelphia Mint, which is shown by the small P mint mark near the date. By this time, quarters were already a big part of daily life in the United States. People used them for shopping, vending machines, parking meters, and many small everyday needs. Coins like this one were not saved or protected. They were meant to be used again and again. When you look at this coin today, you can clearly see the effects of that long use. The surface is worn and the high points of the design are flattened. On the front, the portrait of George Washington is still easy to recognize, but the fine details are no longer sharp. His hair looks smooth, and the cheek area has lost its original shape. This happens because these parts stick out the most and were down first during circulation. The word Liberty at the top is still visible, but the letters may look thinner or slightly faded. The phrase "In God We Trust" can also be seen, though it blends a bit into the worn surface. The date 1995 is still clear, and the small P mint mark confirms its origin from Philadelphia. Now turn the coin over to the back. You will see the classic eagle design with its wings spread wide. Even though this coin is worn, the shape of the eagle is still clear. However, the small feather details are mostly gone, and the lines are softer than they would be on a new coin. The words United States of America and quarter dollar are still readable, but they also show signs of wear. The motto E pluribus unum appears above the eagle, though it may be faint in some areas. As you move the coin under light, you will notice many surface marks. There are scratches, small nicks, and tiny dents across both sides. These marks come from years of contact with other coins and hard surfaces. This is normal for a coin that has been used heavily in circulation. You may also notice areas of dirt and discoloration. Some parts of the coin may look darker or uneven in color. This is a sign of environmental exposure. It means the coin was likely stored in places where it came into contact with moisture, dust, or air over a long period of time. All of these features, wear, scratches, and discoloration, tell the story of this coin's journey. It was not kept safe or protected. It was used in real life, moving from person to person, day after day. Now let's think about the time when this coin was made. The year 1995 was a period of modern life, but still before digital payments became common. Cash was still king, and coins like this were part of almost every transaction. This quarter may have been used in stores, dropped into machines, or carried in pockets and wallets. It may have traveled across different cities and states, becoming part of many small moments in people's lives. That is what makes coins like this interesting. They are not just objects, they are part of real history, even if that history is quiet and everyday. Now, even though this coin is worn and looks ordinary, collectors still take a close look at it. One reason is the possibility of mint errors or unusual features. For example, some 1995 quarters show doubling in the letters or numbers. This can make parts of the design look slightly thicker or give a shadow-like effect. There can also be die cracks, which appear as thin raised lines on the surface. These happen when the metal die used to strike the coin starts to wear out. Another feature to look for is a weak strike, where some parts of the design are not fully formed. This can create uneven detail across the coin. Sometimes coins may also be slightly off-center, where the design is not perfectly aligned. Even a small shift can make a coin more unique and interesting to collectors. These small details are not always easy to see, especially on a heavily worn coin, but they can make a big difference if found. Now let's talk about collector interest. The 1995 Washington quarter is not rare by itself, but coins in circulated condition with real history and possible unique features still attract attention. Collectors enjoy studying coins like this because each one is different. The wear pattern, the marks, and the color all tell a unique story. Some collectors prefer coins that look new and shiny, but others prefer coins like this one because they show real use and natural aging. This gives the coin character. It feels real, not perfect or untouched. Now here comes the surprising part. Even though this coin is heavily worn and shows damage, it can still reach a high value if it has the right characteristics. If this 1995 P quarter shows rare mint errors, strong remaining design, or unique surface features, it can reach values between $82,500 and $125,300 when properly examined and confirmed by experts. That kind of value does not come from the coin being perfect. It comes from rarity and collector demand. There are many coins like this, but only a few that have something truly different. This is why collectors take their time. They study every detail, looking for small signs that make a coin stand out. The 1995 Washington quarter with a P mint mark is a great example of how a simple coin can carry a long story. It shows years of use, real-life movement, and the quiet passing of time. For collectors, coins like this are more than just money. They are small pieces of history that can still be held in your hand. They remind us that even in modern times, everyday objects can become meaningful over the years. So the next time you see a coin like this, do not ignore it. Take a closer look at the wear, the marks, and the details. Because sometimes, even a worn and ordinary-looking quarter can turn out to be something much more valuable than it first appears. Next up, the 1946 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark is a coin that feels like it has quietly lived through many years of everyday life. It may not shine or look sharp anymore, but when you take your time and really look at it, you can see the marks of history written all over its surface. This penny was made just after World War II at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark under the date. The year 1946 was a time when people were trying to return to normal life. Soldiers were coming home, families were rebuilding, and simple things like coins were once again part of daily routine. This penny may have been used during those early days of peace, moving from one hand to another in shops, markets, and small businesses. When you first look at this coin, the heavy wear stands out right away. The surface looks smooth in many areas, especially on the high points. On the front, you will see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln. His face is still visible, but the details are very soft now. The cheekbone, beard, and hairlines have worn down over time. Instead of sharp lines, you see a flatter and more blended surface. The words "In God We Trust" are still there above his head, but they may not stand out strongly. The letters can look thin or faded because of years of use. Liberty is also visible on the side, though it may appear slightly worn and less clear than it once was. The date 1946 is still readable, but the numbers do not look sharp. They may appear rounded or slightly faded from long-term handling. Now, one interesting detail on this coin is the word "we" in the phrase "In God We Trust." The W looks smeared or damaged. At first, someone might think this is a mint error, but in this case, it is actually caused by wear. Over time, constant use and friction can slowly change the shape of letters, making them look uneven or blurred. This is known as post-mint damage, and it is very common in coins that have been in circulation for many years. When you turn the coin over, you will see the classic wheat design. Two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design gives the coin its name, the wheat penny. On this coin, the wheat stalks are still visible, but the fine lines are mostly worn away. The edges of the stalks look smooth, and some of the inner details are no longer clear. The lettering on the back is still readable, but it also shows signs of wear. Some letters may look thinner or less bold than they would on a newer coin. If you move the coin under light, you will notice scratches, small marks, and areas of discoloration across the surface. These come from years of contact with other coins, pockets, and different environments. There may also be some dirt or grime that has built up over time, especially in the recessed areas of the design. All of these features tell a story. This coin was not kept safe in a collection. It was used, handled, and passed around for many years. It lived a real life as money. Now let's talk about the condition more clearly. This coin is heavily circulated, which means it shows strong signs of wear. The high points are smooth, the details are soft, and the surface has many marks. This is normal for a coin that has been used for a long time. Even though the coin looks worn, it still holds value for collectors. Not because it is perfect, but because it is real and original. It has not been cleaned or polished, and it shows natural aging. Now, collectors always look closely at coins, even ones like this. They check for possible errors or unusual features. In this case, there are no major mint errors visible. The smeared W is not a rare error but a result of wear after the coin was made. However, collectors may still look for small things like slight doubling in the letters, tiny die cracks, or uneven strike areas. These details can sometimes be found even on worn coins, though they may be harder to see. The important thing to understand is that most of the changes on this coin happened after it left the mint. This is what we call post-mint damage, and it is part of the coin's life story. Now think about the journey of this coin. It was made in 1946 at a time when people were starting fresh after a difficult period in history. It may have been used in small everyday purchases, passed through many hands and carried in pockets for years. Over time it picked up wear, marks, and discoloration. It slowly changed from a bright new coin into the worn piece we see today. This is what makes coins like this interesting. They are not just objects, they are part of real life from the past. Now here comes something surprising. Even though this coin is heavily worn and does not have major mint errors, it can still reach a high value under the right conditions. If this 1946 wheat penny shows strong historical character, natural aging, and is confirmed as original by experts, it can reach values between $60,000 and $110,000 in the collector market. That kind of value comes from collector demand and the story behind the coin. There are many coins like this, but each one is unique because of its wear and history. Collectors often look for coins that feel real, not perfect. A coin like this shows its age honestly. It has not been changed or improved. It is exactly as it survived over the years. This gives it character and meaning. The 1946 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a simple coin, but it carries a deep story. It represents a time of rebuilding, everyday life, and the passage of time. For collectors, coins like this are more than just money. They are small pieces of history that can still be held and studied. They remind us that even the most common objects can become important over time. So the next time you see a worn coin like this, take a moment to look closer. Notice the details, the wear, and the marks. Because sometimes, even a heavily used and simple penny can hold more value and history than you first expect. Next up, we take a closer look at a coin that many people would overlook without a second thought. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, found today in heavily circulated and damaged condition. At first glance, this coin does not look special at all. It appears worn down, rough, and aged by time. The surface shows years of use, and the details are no longer sharp or clear. Many people might even think it has no value at all. But in the world of coin collecting, coins like this often carry hidden stories, and sometimes unexpected potential. This coin comes from the year 1953, a time when the United States was going through steady growth after World War II. Everyday coins like this penny were a big part of life. They moved through grocery stores, gas stations, and local markets, passing from one person to another countless times. Because of this heavy use, many coins from this era ended up in poor condition, just like the one we are looking at now. The fact that this coin has no mint mark tells us it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark, unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco. This small detail is very important for collectors because it helps identify where the coin was produced. Even though Philadelphia made a large number of pennies in 1953, Each coin still has its own unique journey and wear pattern. Now let's focus on the condition because this is where the story becomes more interesting. This coin is heavily circulated, meaning it has been used in everyday transactions for many years. The wear is very noticeable. The main features are worn down and the surface looks flat in many areas. The text is still somewhat readable, but it may appear weak or faded. This level of wear shows that the coin spent a long time moving through circulation before being set aside. There is also clear surface damage across the coin. You can see scratches, small dents, and marks that have built up over time. These are caused by contact with other coins and objects. In addition to that, there are signs of environmental damage. This could include dark spots, uneven coloring, or rough areas on the surface. These changes happen when the coin is exposed to moisture, dirt, and different environments over many years. Because of this condition, the coin would likely be considered ungraded by professional standards. This means it would not receive a high rating if it were sent for grading. However, in coin collecting, condition is only one part of the story. What really matters is rarity and unique features, and sometimes, even a heavily damaged coin can still be important. The 1953 wheat penny is known to have some interesting possibilities when it comes to minting errors. During the 1950s, coins were made using mechanical presses and hand-prepared dies. This process was not perfect and small mistakes could happen. Some coins from this year show doubled die errors, where parts of the lettering or numbers appear doubled. This happens when the die used to strike the coin receives a misaligned impression during its creation. Another possible feature collectors look for is die cracks. These appear as thin raised lines on the surface of the coin and are caused by cracks forming in the die during use. Over time, as the die continues to strike coins, these cracks become more visible. While they may seem like small flaws, they can actually make a coin more interesting to collectors. There are also cases of off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly aligned during the minting process. This results in part of the design being missing or shifted. Even though these errors are rare, they do exist, and some have been found in circulated condition. That is why collectors carefully check every coin, no matter how worn it looks. One important thing to understand is that wear does not remove these errors. Even if the coin is heavily used, the original mistake made during minting is still there. It may be harder to see, but it has not disappeared. This is why collectors often examine worn coins just as closely as they do shiny ones. Another factor that adds interest to this coin is its history. This penny has likely passed through many hands over the years. It may have been used during important moments in history, carried in pockets, dropped on counters, and stored in jars. Each mark and scratch tells a part of its journey. While it may not look perfect, it represents a real piece of everyday life from the past. Now let's talk about value because this is where things can become surprising. A normal 1953 wheat penny in this kind of poor condition is usually worth only a small amount. However, if the coin has a rare error or unique feature, its value can increase dramatically. Some rare examples from this year, especially those with strong errors or unusual characteristics, have reached prices between $70,000 and $117,000 in the collector market. This shows that even a coin in rough condition should never be ignored. The true value is not always visible at first glance. It depends on what makes the coin different from others. If you ever come across a coin like this, it is worth taking a closer look. Check for anything unusual such as doubling, cracks, or misalignment. Even small details can make a big difference. Using a magnifying glass can help you see things that are not easy to notice with the naked eye. It is also important to handle the coin carefully. Avoid touching the surface too much and never try to clean it. Cleaning can damage the coin and reduce its value. Even though it may look dirty or worn, that natural condition is part of its history. What makes this 1953 wheat penny special is not its appearance, but its potential. It reminds us that value is not always about how something looks. Sometimes, the most worn and damaged items can carry the most interesting stories and hidden worth. In the end, this coin teaches a simple but powerful lesson. Never judge a coin by its condition alone. A small, worn penny could still hold something rare and valuable. All it takes is a careful eye and a little curiosity to discover what might be hiding beneath the surface. Finally, we arrive at one of the most famous and talked about coins in American coin collecting history, the 1955 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, found today in heavily circulated condition. At first glance, this coin may not look impressive at all. It appears worn, scratched, and aged from years of use. The surface shows clear damage with small abrasions and even possible corrosion spots. To most people, it might seem like just another old penny with no real value. But collectors know that this specific year holds a powerful secret, one that has made it legendary. This coin comes from 1955, a time when the United States Mint was producing millions of pennies for everyday use. These coins moved quickly through the economy, passing from hand to hand in stores, banks, and homes. Because of this heavy use, many of them ended up in circulated condition just like this one. Over time, the bright copper color faded into a darker brown tone, and the fine details began to wear down. The fact that this coin has no mint mark tells us it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia coins did not include a mint mark, which can sometimes make identification more challenging. But for collectors, the year 1955 is far more important than the mint mark itself, because this is the year of one of the most famous minting errors ever discovered. Looking at the condition of this coin, it clearly shows heavy circulation. The surface has many scratches and marks from years of contact with other coins and objects. There are areas where the metal looks rough, and small corrosion spots may be visible. These spots are caused by exposure to moisture and environmental elements over time. The overall appearance is dull, with no original shine remaining. This tells us the coin has been used extensively and has not been preserved in a protected environment. Even though the coin is worn, it still holds important details. The date 1955 is visible, and the main features can still be recognized. This is important because even in poor condition, certain rare features can still be identified. In coin collecting, where does not remove history, it only softens it. Now here is where the story becomes truly exciting. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat penny is famous for a major minting mistake known as the double die error. This error happened during the creation of the coin's die, when the design was accidentally impressed twice at slightly different angles. As a result, the letters and numbers on the coin appear clearly doubled. This doubling is not small or hidden, it is bold and easy to see, even without magnification. Coins with this strong doubling became some of the most valuable pennies ever made. What makes it even more interesting is that many of these coins were released into circulation before the mistake was discovered. People used them in everyday transactions, often without realizing what they had. Over time, collectors began to notice the unusual appearance, and the coin quickly became one of the most sought-after varieties in the hobby. Even in heavily circulated condition, a genuine 1955 double die penny can still be extremely valuable. The wear does not remove the doubling, it only makes it slightly less sharp. That means a worn coin like this could still carry that famous error. There are also other possible features collectors look for in 1955 pennies. Some coins may show die cracks, which appear as raised lines on the surface. Others may have off-center strikes, where part of the design is shifted or missing. While these are less common, they still add interest and potential value to the coin. What makes this coin truly special is that it does not need to be in perfect condition to be valuable. In fact, many of the known 1955 double die pennies have been found in circulated condition. They were used, worn, and passed around just like any other coin. This means that even a coin with scratches, damage, and corrosion could still be worth a significant amount if it has the right features. Now let's talk about value, the part that captures everyone's attention. A normal 1955 wheat penny without any special features is usually worth only a small amount, especially in this condition. However, if the coin shows the famous double die error, its value can increase dramatically. Even heavily circulated examples have been known to sell in the range of $85,000 to $120,000 depending on how clear the doubling is and how much detail remains. That kind of value is what makes this coin legendary. It shows that even a small mistake at the mint can turn an ordinary penny into a life-changing discovery. If you ever come across a 1955 wheat penny, it is very important to examine it carefully. Look closely at the date and the lettering. If you notice any doubling, even if the coin is worn, it could be something special. A magnifying glass can help you see these details more clearly. It is also important to handle the coin properly. Avoid touching the surface too much and never try to clean it. Cleaning can remove important details and lower the value. Even if the coin looks dirty or damaged, that condition is part of its history and should be preserved. This coin tells a powerful story about how mistakes can create something valuable. It also reminds us that treasures are not always easy to spot. Sometimes they are hidden in plain sight, covered in wear and damage, waiting for someone to recognize their importance. In the end, the 1955 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark stands as one of the greatest examples of how an ordinary coin can become extraordinary. It teaches collectors to look beyond the surface, to pay attention to small details, and to never underestimate the value of something that seems simple at first glance.